諦めんなよ。諦めんなお前。どうしてそこでやめるんだ。そこでもう少し頑張ってみろよ。ダメ諦めたら周りのこと思えよ。応援してる人たちのこと思ってみろって。あともうちょっとのところなんだから。俺だってこのマイナス10度のところしじみが取れるって頑張ってんだよ。絶対やってみろ。必ず目標達成できる。だからこそネバーギブアップ。
Never give up. That's right. A good fisherman never gives up. Right before the bountiful harvest, he stays in that lake in that freezing water and he ensures he's caught his harvest. And just like that, you would never give up on the fish. You would never give up on Ghoti. And that's what we're doing today. We're continuing the fight to make Ghoti good. And I'm glad we can do so now because we're going to be talking about Ghoti post Cyberstorm Access. Cyberstorm Access itself is a set that launches around May 5th of next month, and in it is a bevy of support of all kind of decks and so forth, right? And among this slew of support is the continuation of the Vsauce lore continuation, right? And with this time around, we went from fusions to links to XCs, and now we're at, what's this? Synchros. Right, synchros. And with synchro support, we have to think about Ghoti, right? Because the stars just align perfectly. And what we're talking about is basically the monodome line, right? The monodome line is once again a synchro based Vsauce lore adaptation, with their main deck monster being a level 4 Realm Heart that can special summon itself by destroying one of the monodome level 2 tuners to special summon itself and add a card, or you know, if it's normal summon, it can do the same thing. But what makes this interesting is that the monsters that it destroys and works with are level 2 and itself is level 4. 2 plus 4 equals 6. That's our Realm Post, baby. So yeah, a lot of synergy is in this deck. So we're going to go ahead and go over a list that I am compiling and what I have so far, and I'm really enjoying. Also, don't worry if you're not really much of a fan of the monodome archetype, or you're not interested. I'll also have a list for you based around, you know, the straight water support, just a water deck, you know, water Ghotis. No need for monodomes, right? So something for everyone in this video. So we're going to have 2 lists, but I'm going to show multiple replays of variations of those lists, right? Ghoti monodome and the straight water support. Let's get into it. Alright, so for the first list, this is what we have, right? A monodome Ghoti list. So let's start off with compiling and talking about what we've chosen and why we've chosen them. So for the monodomes, we have 3 copies of Realm Heart, 3 copies of Meek, 2 copies of Hearless, 1 of the counter trap that's an omni-negate if you control any synchro monster, 2 copies of Obsession, and 2 copies of Calamarium, right? So basically, once again, level 2s and level 4s and level 2s, which equal level 6 to make Arion posts, you can go ahead and special summon these as long as you control a monster with, you know, 1500 attack and 2100 defense, right? So basically, any iteration of Visa or any iteration of, you know, his counterparts like Room Heart, Kaleido Heart, all of those, right? So the reason we're playing 3 is because we want to see him specifically. So opening up any one of these 2 is basically a full combo. We only played 2 of the Hearless because it's not that really good. This one floats better because you can up the level, which is a bit more relevant in this deck especially, while this one just boosts by 500, which doesn't really come up. And also it's not water, it's kind of earth, so that does happen sometimes. The 1 counter trap. So something about this format is I'm noticing a lot of persons are actually main decking Dark Ruler No More again due to the Superheavy Samurai deck, right? So we now need a way to go ahead and beat that. 2 copies of Obsession. Obsession is basically multiple copies of your counter trap or your field spell, and since these all float now once per turn, it goes ahead to destroy target element you control, destroy it, and if you do, add a prime planet. If you already have a prime planet, you can add any monodome spell and trap, which is i.e. the counter spell. And let's say you open up multiple copies of Realm Heart, you can banish it from the graveyard and special summon the extra Rune Heart from your hand, which is pretty good, right? So yeah, basically a normal summon that goes into Arion Post and potentially can go into a counter trap or the field spell. The field spell is when this card is activated, you can add one Monodome or Visa from your deck to your hand. Light monsters you control gain attack for each tuner in your graveyard, right? Counting Ghotis and so forth. Its good effect though is that if a tuner monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon it back from the graveyard. Also notice that the protection effect doesn't specifically state your monodome tuners, it also counts any tuner. So if your opponent would threaten the battle phase to beat over your Paces or any of your Ghoti tuners, you can actually protect them, well not protect them, but you can reborn them using the Calarium, right? To go ahead and continue your synchro plays in the main phase 2, for example. Something to always keep note of. So essentially, if you were to have this face up, and then you normal summon a Meek and special summon the Room Heart by popping a Meek, you can get an extra Meek on the field by special one from deck and the one that you do straight from the graveyard, right? Which is just great for our synchro plays. And then we play 3 Ash, 3 Roll and Lockbird up, the most obnoxious hand trap in the format. Like, you know, floodgate hand traps, eh? What are you gonna do? Suck! So 3 copies of Gamma because we have to counteract their Joel and Lapbirds, which yes, you will be getting Joeled. So you have to have some way to play around it. You know, whether that be playing Crossroads or be playing, you know, Call by the Grave. 3 copies of Zep for starting off our Ghoti engine. So the reason we play 3 of this, I know it might be weird, but it's because we actually really want to see it. So we want to see it more than any of our Ghotis in our starting hands, because we can go ahead and use it for extensive plays in the opponent's turn and so forth. 2 copies of Igjeep, 1 Paces, 1 Shift, 2 Arion Posts, 2 copies of Abyss Shark and its targets, right? 1 Angler and 1 Lifeless, 1 Most Distant Deepest Depths, and 3 copies of the Pot of Prosperity for consistency. So that is pretty much the main deck. Going and the side deck is whatever you see fit for your locals you can play in your side deck. For the extra deck we have 1 copy of Beyond, 2 copies of Bicorn, 1 Whale, 1 Monosaurus, Crackle Dragon, 2 Arion Post, 1 Starjoss, Crystal Wing, Fleur, Chenying, and Dragite. And also 2 copies of these links, right? Wait, I think I'm forgetting something here. Yeah, I think Charge Warrior could actually be Argerine, to be honest. It's not as easy to make in this list, but you know, it's still pretty good, and I'd still play it over as a level 10 to go into. This card is really strong. Yeah, so then we can go ahead and go into the replays about the Ghoti Monodome, right? So for the first one here, we have it already. We have the Field Spell, Abscission, Counter Trap, the Prosperity, and 1 Ash. So we activate the Field Spell, add a copy of Meek, and then we activate the Prosperity, banishing 6. This is a replay, so it doesn't really matter what we banish, you know. So yeah, we're going to add the Meek, put everything into the bottom of the deck. Right, then we normal summon the Meek and then activate the effect of Roam in Hand to pop it. And then we're going to get another one from the deck. So it would be Chainlink 1, this to special from deck, Chainlink 2 to add from deck, and Chainlink 3 to go ahead and special from graveyard. So then, but we already have our target, so there's no reason to really add anything, to be honest. Well, we can add the Earth one, but it's whatever. So we go ahead and make an Arion Post, banish the second Meek that we summoned, will become level 4, and then we can use it to make a Baron de Fleur on our turn, and then banish Arion Post at an Igjeep. And because Igjeep is a hand trigger, essentially we can go ahead and activate its effect. And then we can go ahead and set and have this as an Omni Negate, another Omni Negate, and we have the Ghoti engine live because we're going to make another Arion Post on the opponent's turn to continue our plays, to either wipe the board or to go ahead and get a banish, right? And then we have Insane Follow-up after, because this can special summon back the Room Heart for extensive plays. So go there, make Arion Post, banish Zep, special summon it back, make a Whale, wipe the board, and add a Snowpius, and that will go ahead and banish these two for follow-up plays on the opponent's turn. So on the opponent's turn, we will have a lot of follow-up, right? So banish, draw for turn, we draw the Hairless, then return in standby phase, bounce back on the Fleur, and then go ahead and add a copy of Imagine. At the time, I was playing Imagine because it's a really good one of, specifically for hands like these. Like we drew a copy of the Hairless, then we can just activate it, draw 2 cards, and put back whatever we don't want. Right, so let's reveal, draw 2, put what we don't need, you know, and just go into place from there, make the Baron again, add back that, make a charge, you're right, this has an effect to recycle your Monodome cards. So yeah, that's a pretty standard play right there. Right, on to the next one. So with this hand, you're realizing morally, you know, this is why we play Prosperity, to go ahead and help us somewhat unbrick, but you're playing the Monodome engine to speed up your Ghoti engine. Monodome to Ghoti is what Son of Avalon is to Generator, right? Essentially, normal summon that leads into your engine, or extensive plays that makes your engine better. Just like Supe or the Italy engine, those are like 1 card Arion Posses. This is also a 1 card Arion Post, but why not get more? So in this case, you're getting the Arion Post, the Counter Trap, and a Baron Live. So that's great plays, right? So start off with Prosperity. We find the Rome Heart, which is good for us. Add it back. Put everything to the bottom of the deck. So from here, we could have normal summoned it to special summon this and then make a play from there, but I figured, alright, let's just normal summon it, get you know, the Obsession directly first and then summon this. So then we're going to activate it, get the field spell, go ahead and special summon that back, activate the field spell, add the Hairless, which can be an extender, special summon the extender, go into a Arion Post effect to banish a copy of Paces or any tuner really, then make a copy of Baron effect, special summon the copy of the Egg Sheep. And with this hand specifically, we're going to have a potential board wipe and the Baron, the Omni Negate, and plus follow up. So it's just like I'm saying here, right? Yes, I get the fact that Monodome on its own without the Ghoti engine could be a better deck. That's perfectly fine. But what you're doing here is that you want to play Ghotis, right? And you want to play the most optimal version of your deck. This is the most optimal version of your deck. And there are some variations you can do to it. For example, at one point I was testing a Ancient Fairy engine. Wait, here we are. I was testing a Ancient Fairy engine, right? Basically, it's the same Monodome. So we were testing the Monodomes with our other engines that we played from before. For example, the Italy engine and the Supe. So potentially you could make this into 50 cards. And those 50 cards would still be consistent because those 10 additional cards that you play are 10 additional cards that go into your engine regardless. So let's get it. Activate the Italy effect, get a copy of these to get in rotation. Special summon it, make it level 6, so 1 and 6. Normal summon the Room Heart, get a copy of the Meek. Special summon the Meek, activate the Obsession to go ahead and up the field spell, or the Counter Trap if you feel as if you don't need the extension, you want the protection instead, you can just get the Counter Trap. Special summon the other Meek because it floats, then add the Hairless, then special summon that, make the Arion Post effect, punish, you know the way it goes, make the Ancient Fairy Dragon, make a copy of the Baron, or or you could make a copy of Dragite, whichever you see, or Dragite, or whatever you see fit. We can pop that, so we can pop this, go ahead and get a copy of it, Distant Depths. Make the Baron, banish that, get a copy of the Igjeep, I mean the Shift. We can banish the Shift, get a copy of Igjeep, special summon the Igjeep, and then from there we have an Ash, a Jolan Lockbird, the Baron, and then the Ghoti engine in high regard, right? In high turbos. But if you more prefer playing it safe and protecting your cards, you could have just went for the counter trap instead of display. So yeah. And once again, you can just remember the 10 cards you're adding to your deck are 10 cards you're making it more consistent with. So breaking in 50 cards may seem possible, but it's actually a lot less. So yeah, I do look at this as the more consistent way to play the deck 1000%, especially if you add the Italy engine and the Supe engine. You can ease the pressure off of your normal summon, because you have like two ways especially to make your Arion Post without normal summoning. Because one of the many weaknesses of the Monodome engine is that if Room Heart is indeed stopped in some way, shape or form, which will happen, you're going to be very behind. Cyframe Gear Gamma is really in the meta right now, so the moment a person says, okay, this is what you're doing, and they gamma your Room Heart, you're going to have a bad time. So I 1000% recommend looking into playing the extra synchro packages for that specific reason. If no other reason, that reason. It's 10 cards. Those 10 cards make your deck a lot more better. But I'm just a guy who prefers 40 cards, but yeah. So now, for those who are interested in playing Ghoti Post CYAC without having to play the Monodome engine, haha, I have the list for you. So for the non-Monodome Ghoti engine, we have this. I call it water, right? So we have 3 Ash, 3 Nibiru, 3 Jolas, or hand traps. Then for our supplementary engine, we have 3 Goons, 3 Diva, 2 Neptabis, 1 Marksman, 1 Elemental Lord, Lapis Dragon, and also Minstrel. 3 copies of the card that's coming out. That makes, so this card is pretty much the only reason why this works in any degree. This is the only reason why this is actually even like as coherent as it is. So we play 6 copies of it basically, 3 of itself and 3 of Cradle. And then for our Ghotis, we play 2 copies of Paces, 2 Snopius, 2 Igjeep, 1 Shift, and 1 Zep. And for our consistency cards, we play 2 copies of Aria, 2 copies of Depths, and for a spicy tech, we play different dimension barrier, right? Different dimension reincarnation, and then some cards that help us beat hand traps and specifically Droll. Once again, side deck is whatever you want it to be, and the extra deck is pretty much the same with only a few changes. In this case, it would be this guy, Tatsunoko, right? Tatsunoko can go ahead and make a synchro play from your hand, so which we'll get into shortly, right? And show off. So this is the list. Let's get into a replay for it. So for this replay, we have Joel, Deep Sea Aria, the copy of the Reincarnation, 1 Cradle, and 1 the Zep. I really wish this was any other Ghoti, because if this was any other Ghoti, this hand would be practically perfect. So we'll activate the Cradle, add the copy of the Rain, Run effect, special summon itself on a token, banish the Zep from the graveyard to add a copy of Diva. This Zep should be banished, by the way. Special summon the Neptabis effect to dump a Goons to other Goons. And then Goons will add us a copy of the Minstrel. So right here, we'd activate the effect to look in their hand to make sure they have like no Nibiru, right? And then we make a copy of Arion Post. Arion Post, go ahead and banish a copy of Coelacanth. And from here, you could go ahead and special summon the Coelacanth and actually make a Coelacanth play. But I didn't do that because I was just showing that you could do it, but I wouldn't do it, right? So we make a copy of the Crystal Wing. Wait, we can't do it because we have this on field, right? So we're going to make a copy of Argerine first, and then make the Crystal Wing, and then banish the Iron Post from the graveyard to go ahead and add a copies of Shift, and then activate it. First one, the Iron Post, discarding the Shift, and then Shift effect to banish itself, and go ahead and, you know, from there we'd have the complete engine live. We'd have a monster negate, a banish and protection, a banish and follow up, and Joel. And then also from here, if we didn't banish the kill and Coelacanth, we'd have a full board wipe because we'd have a Paces in rotation instead. Just something to think about when you're playing this deck, right? I'm not sure if anybody actually explored this before, but I really think that Reincarnation is DDR is a really good spicy tech. And for now, a alteration of this deck as I was trying out, we can go ahead and try out the Gishkis. So for this hand we have Cradle again, Boons, Aqua Mirror, Shift, and a copy of Joel. So this is what I think. This is actually pretty good, not gonna lie. This is really good. I really like this a lot. So activate the Cradle, add the Argerine, activate the copy of, you know, Aqua Mirror to add us a copy of the Vision, activate the effect discarding, and then monetary effect of the Goons to add a copy of Diva. Normal summon Diva, special summon the Prince effect, add one. So this time we're actually adding the Marksman instead of the, what's it called? The Deep Sea card, right? The other one from her archetype. The Minstrel, right? So we're going to go ahead and Goons effect to add a copy of the Gishki Shadow. Then link off, synchro summon into Tatsunoko. And then discard to add the necessaries. So we're going to add a copy of the Mirror and a copy of Eva Gishki Neramanas, right? Activate the effect, lose life points, special summon it. The effect of Iramanas, the special summon back a copy of the Diva. Then make another Argerine. Because the effect of this says if this synchro summon monster would be used as synchro material, one monster in your hand can be used as its other material, right? So, and it's also unaffected by other monsters' effects. So we can go ahead and, you know, use this from hand. 3/3/6, make an Arianpos effect, banish Paces, and then we can go ahead make a copy of the Jugite. Or you can make Jugite, but since we already have a monster negate, we can just make the dragon instead of the Crystal Wing, right? Depends on the deck you're playing, really. So then we can add a copy of the Igjeep special summon itself. It was a misclick, by the way. Special summon Igjeep, and then during the end phase banish that to set a copy of the Illusion. So for now we have an banish and then protecting our cards. We have a spell and trap negate. We have a double monster negate. We have Joel, and we have the Ghoti engine live to make follow-up plays and so forth, right? Bounce, activate. And then from here we would just have insane follow-up, because if we didn't even want to use the whale and we had to use our the Deep Beyond, we wouldn't really be losing much because the follow-up on the next turn will just be insane. And if we top deck, like for example the Ice Jade Cradle or Argerine, we'd have this as the discard. So yeah, that is also a variation of the deck that we could go ahead and do there. Right, so that is the non-monodome engine. So hopefully you guys like these two lists. These are some things I'm just going to go ahead and theorycraft right now. They're the closest thing to being complete, but you know, hence why I showed you these variations to say that you could go a step further in both these lists and make them better by doing X. For the pure engine or the water engine, you can add a Gishki. For the monodome engine, you can add the Sopay engine and also the Italy engine to make it even more consistent. Because again, the cards you're adding, still making it consistent. So yes, fellow fishermen, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really do love this deck. And then also, join me next episode of Post Kayak where I talk about Bee Troopers. Right, I decided to go ahead and split these videos up into two, so they're a bit more digestible. Didn't want to go ahead and make like an hour-long video talking about two decks which you guys will not sit through. So yeah, that's about it. With that being said, stay safe, stay on the high seas.